Jerry's dad and my dad were brothers. My dad was the baby of the family, and then Jerry's dad was next in line, along with about 8 others. But I grew up about a half a mile from Jerry's, where Jerry was born and where his house was. And if you cut through the woods, it was about maybe half a mile. And up until he just discovered having girlfriends was nice, I saw him just about every day. We grew up together, and he called me his little sister because we were both only children, and spent a lot of time with each other. And it's such precious memories. And I'm just glad to tell everybody about it, what I can do. He was a gifted person. He was just different from the rest of the kids that I knew, and he had everything he ever wanted. If he didn't, his dad and mom would get it for him, but he was not spoiled in the least. He was a generous, giving person. He just wanted everybody to have a good time, and anybody that knew him, I think, could almost say the same thing. But I just treasure the times we spent together growing up because, like I said, I was an only child and so was he, so we were just about like brother and sister. And sometimes I still can't believe, it seems unreal that that plane crash could have happened. But it did, sadly. But I grew up thinking it was going to be President of the United States. And I believe he could have changed the course of history for the better, but it didn't happen. You want me to read this poem? Okay. Memories of Jerry. I'm going to cry. Jerry is gone, and I cry in despair. I search for answers that just aren't there. But I can remember through my tears the happy days of our childhood years, when Jerry was like a brother to me, for I never had a big brother, you see. How well I remember his boyish grin. Even then I knew he'd be a man among men. Each Saturday when he'd come over to play, my mother would hug him, then she'd say, "Tall as Abe Lincoln he's getting to be. He'll be president someday, just wait and see." This next little bit is going to take a little explanation. I've had to explain it to everybody. We'd finish our wait a minute. I remember how we'd drink our glasses to the same line. Now, nobody knows what that means, but to Jerry, it was this neat thing to do when we had something in a glass of milk, we had milk or Kool-Aid or whatever. He'd want us to just have it down to the same level on the glass, and we'd work hard at trying to make that happen. I don't know, he just thought that was a neat thing to do. He always had ideas, different ideas. Anyway, I've had to explain that to a lot of people. I said I can remember when we'd drink our glasses to the same line, so we'd finish our milk at the very same time. Could have been Kool-Aid or water, it didn't matter. Okay. I remember how each April Fool's Day, I'd wonder what trick Jerry was going to play. He'd come over and say a fox was carrying off one of our hens. We'd go out to look, and he'd break into one of his grins. Sometimes he'd give us the very same line, but he always fooled us every time. I don't remember this part, but my mom told me. I remember how we got into mischief long ago. Ask my mom and she'll tell you it's so. Jerry and I pulled off each and every top of our Uncle Bill's entire pumpkin crop. Now, I don't know what that means. I don't remember it. The bloom, maybe? I'm not sure. The years went by. Oh, wait a minute. I got to go back a minute. All too soon, gone were our childhood days. Jerry went out into the world with his winning ways. The years went by, and we got out of touch. He was very busy, and I didn't see him much. I'd listen with wonder at the mention of his name. Could this be my Jerry, with his fortune and fame? He was that man among men I knew he would be. How far he would go, I was waiting to see. When I saw him last, he hugged me tight and said, "You haven't changed a bit. Your hair is still red." 1 month later, almost to the day, death came and took him away. His life was ended on that fatal plane ride with his wife and his children by his side. Now, while my heart is heavy with grief because of this tragedy almost beyond belief, I hold close to my heart my memories so dear, and hold back the tears that are always near, and pray that God in his heaven above will keep Jerry and his family safe in his love. Over. But Jerry taught me how to ride a bike, how to tie my shoes. Back then we used to have shoelaces, and it was a big deal to learn to tie your shoes. So Jerry taught me how, and he was kind of my hero, my defender. If in school, some of the bigger boys about his age really were teasing me and making me feel bad, or maybe even cry. I cry easy. He'd be in there and tell them to leave me alone, and be my hero to save me from that. So, like I said, he was like my older brother. We were 3 years apart. He was 3 years older than I. So, and up until he started having girlfriends, I saw him almost every day. So it was a wonderful time in my life, but not so much in later years because of what happened. And I never ever, sometimes yet can't believe that actually happened. That plane crash shouldn't have happened. And all our birthdays together when we were growing up. My mom would bake her birthday cakes, and Jerry'd come to my house and I'd go to his. And yeah, and he always had everything he ever wanted, but you never knew it. He was never the least bit spoiled. He always just wanted to share everything. And he had a motor scooter, or they called it a motor scooter, I think. And the first thing he wanted to do was come over and take me a ride on it, and then take my mother a ride on it. And I got along okay with it, but I think my mom probably didn't hang on right, or didn't sit still or something. And he dumped her in the gravel road. But it didn't hurt her. You know, might have skinned up her leg a little bit, but he felt really bad about it. But we both got one of the first rides on that motor scooter. And he just wanted to share everything he had. And he was just a gifted person, in my opinion, and I think a lot of other people's opinion, too. Mm-hmm. We both went to grade school in Lock Springs. Okay. And then, since it was no longer a high school, we went to Chillicothe to high school. Both of us did. I had to stop and think. He did. I knew I did, but he did, too. Involved. I just watched every move that he made, and I wrote him letters, and you know, he was just going places, but it was not to be. But yeah, I wrote letters to him, and he wrote me back. But I would have liked to have been more, and it was my own fault. I could have been, you know, I could have voiced my wishes. I was kind of timid, you know, and not like Jerry, but I'd gotten married and had 2 kids, so it wouldn't have been too easy for me to, but I watched all the Dialogue with Litton shows on TV, and read everything I could read about him, and dreamed of what he was going to do with his life, and never dreamed what happened, though. Never would have never thought something like that would happen. I can't think of anything that we actually got in trouble for. We were pretty good kids. Yeah. And of course, Jerry being 3, maybe even 4 years older than me. He was in different, age group of friends than I was, and I was kind of a timid little nobody, and he was not timid at all. He was always in the center of things and having great ideas and big ideas, and I was just a little girl trying to get along in the world, but I thought he was going to be president, I really did, and I think a lot of people did. And I remember the night of the plane crash, it was August the 3rd of 1976. I was watching the election returns on TV. Of course, back then, CB radios were the thing that everybody had as well as a TV. And my husband was working, so I was the only one at home. I don't know where the kids were. Oh, they were home with me. But anyway, I just happened to hear on the CB radio a couple of truckers talking to each other. And one of them said, "There's a fire over by the airport." And somehow my heart knew, and I didn't even know Jerry was going to be on a plane, but I knew he was supposed to be in Kansas City. Somehow my heart felt that was something to do with Jerry. And about that time on the Channel 9 News that I had on, because I remember it was Larry Moore, I think he's still there, but it was Channel 9, and said, "Word has it that there's been a plane crash at the Chillicothe Airport, and word has it could be the Litton plane, but they haven't been, obviously their information was wrong, but their first report was they haven't been seriously hurt, and they've been taken to the Chillicothe Hospital." Obviously wrong, sadly, but my dad and my mom lived just 4th of a mile from me, and the first thing I did was take off in my car down to my dad's, and they had heard the same report. One of my dad's brothers that lived close to us had heard the same report, and we all were going to the Chillicothe. We got in the car and we're going to the Chillicothe Hospital thinking that we could see them and they weren't seriously hurt. When we got to the hospital, nobody would tell us anything. They said they couldn't give out any information. And eventually they had to tell us that they weren't there. And sadly we heard what had happened, and we went, the whole city of Chillicothe was just up and walking the streets, and almost it seemed like the whole town. It was, other people had heard the same thing, I guess. But it was just a nightmare scenario is what it was. That's never over. Anyway, I don't understand why that had to happen, but it has, and anybody that knew him knew he was a different kind of person. He was always had the best ideas and the best way to do things, and he was always kind and generous. As far as I knew, that's the only side I ever saw of him. I think most people would say that. And I believe he could have, if he had gotten to be president, he could have changed the course of history for the better, because he had such wonderful ideas and such leadership qualities, and he just had what it would have took. And they said the plane crash was an accident. I mean, I guess it was ruled that it was an accident, but it almost seems too coincidental on the night he won that election by a landslide that had to happen. He was just my hero to the end.